Hello and welcome to another video on this channel. And today we have a little bit, just a little bit of a different video. Today I'm going to give you a guide on things that I do to improve my runs. I'm most likely not qualified for this. I have 41 hours in this game, okay? But I'm just going to teach you some general things that I do to improve my runs overall, so that you can really easily apply to your game, and to get more solid and better runs overall in Oddcore. Today we are going to use a relatively simple loadout that is very beginner friendly. So if we talk about weapons, obviously there are the melee weapons. So yeah, if you're struggling to beat the game, then I really don't suggest you to use something like bat or katana, because they are harder to use optimally, and yeah, they are just overall not that great for getting a win. They are nice as like a support weapon for early variants, but they fall off really bad late game, especially in the big man fight. Yeah, so I would suggest that you are using something that is very precision on long range, the sniper for example, or the nail gun. That is also a very good weapon for just long range, very precise. And then something that is more close range, like the SMG. SMG is also a relatively good weapon. As currently ice on SMG or nail gun is really good, and it's probably what I would consider quite the meta at the moment, but it's not as crazy strong as some other things, and all of the weapons are currently viable, I would say. At least that is my feeling. So for a loader that is easy to play and that doesn't require that much skill, I would suggest that you use the lightning staff, as it is very good in the early game and it has some very good weapon mods, and also with the ult you have very good AoE. And then something that is just very good against bosses, in this case you could use the sniper, but I suggest that you are going to use the nail gun. This is going to be more of a basic run, so if you're here for a crazy run that is really interesting, then this video is not really made for you. I would be very thankful if you still watch it, but this is going to be very basic stuff. And yeah, if you've played the game a little bit and are maybe a little bit more familiar with the mechanics, then I suggest you should watch other videos that I did on Oddcore. So when it comes to cassettes, the cassettes are mostly what you're comfortable playing. Something that I discovered was really easy to play with is the Portals 128, and combining that with big hands. But considering that you don't have all the gadgets, I'm probably going to run something that is more specific, that's a little bit more basic. Definitely do not run on the edge. To begin with, maybe you don't have all the cassettes, so in this example run I'm going to go with the base cassette. But something that I would suggest if you're new to the game is to run either overthinking. It may seem scary with the minus 30 health, but 30 health is nothing. You get free fire rate, you get 10% less cooldown for your ult, and the additional jump is relatively good for overall mobility. Especially if you're starting, I really wouldn't suggest to run cassettes that lower your clock cap, because then it's just going to be harder to play around time. Then you're going to have to run more offensive builds to really get as much to play as efficiently as possible. Sunflower may seem really bad, but it's actually not as bad. It may really not be the best cassette. I personally kind of like it because extra starting souls is always relatively good. And this cassette is probably something that if you're really not confident that you should run. The starting checks can be, very annoying, but the 100% health just really helps to, have a good start to go from. But I'm going to run the cassette that gives you no stat bonus. So because everyone has this cassette, so you can just run this cassette. It's just the normal experience, and I would suggest that you start that if you get your first win on this cassette, then you're mostly familiar with the mechanics, and then you can also understand cassettes better. You can think more about what cassettes fits your playstyle. So I would suggest that when you start playing the game that you just run Racing Through My Mind to really think, to really get the feeling of what you're missing in your runs. This is basically also something that is very important in Oddcore. You have to see the things that you're missing in your runs, and then you basically use the roguelike elements to reduce your weaknesses. So you're going to play with Racing Through My Mind, and then maybe think, so I'm really struggling with getting max life. Then you can just run this cassette and get a lot more max life. Or you're not getting enough cards or souls, then just you can run Sunflower. And if you have the feeling, okay, I just want, it's relatively self-explanatory. I would also suggest that you experiment after you've played some runs, because experimenting really helps you shape your play style and really just realize what you want to do in Oddcore. And the thing is that is I really like about Oddcore is that you can find your play style and then develop the play style and just really make your own playstyle, as everyone plays the game a little bit different, is my experience at least. I personally play a playstyle that is mostly shaped around red and green vending machine upgrades. I'm going to explain all these later, but for now I'm just going to that was maybe a little bit too much talking about the cassettes. I mean, just it really helps just thinking about the game, thinking what you're missing, and maybe also just reviewing your mistakes. So okay, enough talking. We're not going to use the the extra item. You can definitely do that. It also helps with going for specific builds, but you mostly don't need it. And yes, in the shop there are a lot of things to unlock, and I would suggest that if you don't have enough tokens, you do 2 or 3 runs, and then you put 100 tokens in here, as this gives you the most tickets to buy stuff with. But the game only really works if you're putting in a lot of investment, because then you're going to get the most back. So, when it comes to gadgets, please go away. Then, this is really, the gadgets are probably the most playstyle related thing there is in this game. It really depends on which form of movement you like. So I would suggest that you run dash 90% of the time, because dash is the easiest form of movement there is in this game. But it's completely fine if you don't like dash, you think dash is too short for you, then you can just run grapple or slide instead. They're all pretty similar. I personally would say that dash is the best one, because grapple, even though grapple probably gives you more mobility, grapple is just a little bit harder to use. And with grapple you can't dash for enemies. And the thing with slide is you have to be on the ground. And some items, for example, really synergize with jumping. So slide is just not gonna be that great. So I would suggest that you run dash. But you can mess around with all the gadgets, you can try them all out. And if you're really desperate for the win, just use big hands with the cassette I told you. That makes the game 1,000 times easier. Slow-mo you can also use if you're having like problems dodging, or just, yeah, you think the game everything goes too fast. Yeah. Teddy Bomb is also really good for like early, because you can just place it down, get the enemies away from you. Yeah, personally I ran, as I started playing the game, grapple and dash, as this is like probably the most movement that you can, yeah, that you can get. You could also run slide dash, but slide is not that great, I would say. Yeah, for just the example run that I'm going to do, and while that I'm just going to explain a lot, I'm just going to use Teddy Bomb. So yeah, it's also not that bad with the nail gun, and yeah, the SMG. Wait, I didn't want to run SMG, I wanted to run lightning staff. Nearly forgot that. Something you can also run if you're not going to be using the lightning staff is you can also just run frog as a support, as the ult freezes things, and then you have guaranteed crits. But maybe you're not going to have unlocked the frog, so I'm just going to use some relatively basic weapons that you should have already. Yes. Let's just go. Yeah, if I'm like pausing the game, then it's probably because I'm going to explain some things and time is already running. So yeah, just that you know. Some things for the early variants is that you, yeah, just finish them quickly. And something that is also relatively important in just early variants, but also in later game overall. Yeah, like something that's just general. Just to, if you finish a variant, just don't eject right away, as you're going to, yeah, there are going to be items that spawn, and if you eject, and then you're not gonna get them, and that just makes you run a lot worse. So I just made the first mistake. On the third variant, you should go to the time room to get more value out of the first shop. But if you don't do that, it's also fine, as the first time room is always gonna be basically your amount of max souls in cards. Besides, if you have to buy time. So something also in general, you want to go to the time room either before the odd mart. The odd mart is going to be after every third variant. And yes, that just gives you the opportunity to buy 2 vending machine upgrades every time. I mean, I missed it here, but it's fine because you get 1 yellow for free, so you're just missing out on 1 upgrade. And this is like also, if you're going to rush an early element, then it's actually not that bad if you miss the first time room to get a lot more value here. As like I forgot it in like 80% of my runs, and it's fine always. Okay, so regarding items, there's obviously items synergize different with weapons, and you always have to think about what is the best for your weapon. Currently, we have the flaming boots, which is the first source of an element that we could have. And there are 4 elements: lightning, ice, fire, and nuclear. And there are also items that can apply these elements. And basically, these elements can affect your weapon if you buy them. And then the weapons cause the elemental effects. And between these elemental effects, there are also combos. For example, nuclear and fire do explosion. Just things to note here is that lightning and fire don't have a combo, and nuclear and ice don't have a combo. So I suggest that you don't run lightning and fire on your weapons, and nuclear and ice. You can also just pretty easily think about what elements you need at the start of a run. For example, I run the Nagan, so I'm going to go for ice, because ice is going to apply a debuff that lets me deal 1% extra damage to the enemy for every hit. Because the Nagan is going to shoot very fast, ice is going to be very effective. Lightning, for example, does 20% damage based on the hit you do, so it does basically an extra hit, and that is 20% of the initial hit. And fire applies a debuff that deals damage, and there's a little bit of an explosion if the enemy dies. And it also scales with your damage. And nuclear also scales with your damage and heals you for every tick for 0.1 health. You shouldn't buy it for healing, really, and you shouldn't also buy it for damage. Nuclear is probably currently at the moment the worst element. But if you have like the synergy with lightning and nuclear, that one is also fine. So if you just want to run something different and want a little bit, like it's really not that much, but if you can have the option to apply it to a lot of enemies, then it's going to do something. But it's really not that much, but it's takeable. It's not the worst. Like, it's better than no element, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so yeah, because I'm going to get probably ice on my nail gun, I want something that synergizes with ice. That's either lightning or fire for my lightning scepter. Lightning on the lightning staff is not that great, as the lightning staff has a very low base damage. So I'm probably going to go for fire. And the synergy between ice and fire is that, yeah, that enemies, if they get applied with both, they are going to be executed. Okay, regarding items. With this, we could apply more fire, which would help the nail gun to proc the elemental synergy, and we don't need to pull out the staff all the time. The thing is, because we're going to have mainly using the staff for the variants and the nail gun for bosses, as the staff has better AoE, we don't really need the flaming boots. The mag in the box is not the best item, as reloading is basically going to be for us a downtime, and with Lightning Scepter, it's a very long time that you spend without reloading. The nail gun reloads quite often, but I'm just going to take the 25% ammo, as it is going to help our build the most, as if the nail gun can shoot longer, then ice is going to be applied more, and the uptime is also going to be longer. As you can see, I got the free yellow upgrade. And now gadget damage to gadget damage is nothing. It's a really bad item. I really wouldn't take this. It could be if it increases base damage, then it's. But I'm not 100% sure. But if it increases base damage, then it's actually fine. But it's still just not great, because your damage is like never going to come mainly from your gadgets, and Teddy Bomb already has like a good base damage. 10% of move speed is converted into extra damage. This is not the worst item. As you can see, this would be currently 12% damage, which is really not bad. And this is healing while standing still. This is like basically useless out of the case that you go to the time room out of a combat, then you can heal there, but it's not that great, so I'm just going to take the extra damage. Yes, that's it for this shop. And now we're just going to continue. And also some questions that are really often asked is you can't put multiple elements on one weapon, that is not possible. And this is basically there to make you swap your weapons. Maybe you saw it, but there was the Watcher. If you're new to the game, I wouldn't suggest taking the Watcher, as corrupted items are... I mean, the thing is, you are probably not going to know what most of them do. So, yeah, if you want to experiment, then it's fine. But you don't really need it. As you can see, back there is a shrine. You can see that by these little indicators. Yellow is a chest, and purple is a shrine. Currently, we have 3 minutes left, but because we're going to get more souls on the next variant, I can just take this. That is a really good item. So in your runs, you're looking always for a fix for movement. You're going to want a fix for damage, and you want a fix for healing. That are the problems that you have to solve in your run to get a good run. Currently, we're looking to get red cards to get our first damage upgrade. But we also want blue to get the eyes on the Negan, so this was actually not... This weren't that bad cards that we got there. Yeah, on these variants you can mostly ignore the enemies, but it's good to get, AoE kills like that. They just help you getting more souls. And because I think I'm going to go to the time room now to fill up my time and buy cards for the next Oddmart. Something you can do is that you can like actively keep track of when your Oddmart is to really maximize the gain that you get. Okay. Something to note here about cash out is that cash out is, if you have tags, then cash out is most of the time going to be more cards, but you can't choose them. Because cash out is just... so basically if you're choosing a card, you have to spend 1 soul for shooting, and then you pay the price for the card. So that is something you don't have to do with cash out. With cash out, you're just paying for the cards. You aren't using the soul to... you aren't using the soul to shoot the card. But on the first time room, you should always choose manually, as you're not paying for the cards. So what are we looking for? We're looking for 1 red, 1 green, so that we can buy a red and a green upgrade. Something that I like to do is get, at the end of my run, I have 20% damage reduction. That is 10 green upgrades. If you get more than that, it's completely fine. Big Man will still deal a ridiculous amount of damage to you, so be prepared. So we're going to solve green and red. Now we have a free upgrade, and now we can basically rush blue. And if we get different cards, that's completely fine. If we can't choose blue, then we just choose red and green, as that works very well for the future. As we at some point also want fire, you should prioritize reds over greens if you have enough to buy a green upgrade at the next shop. Okay, we are getting a lot of items. Okay, we have 2 frogs. As you can see, here's the Oddmart, and something that also a lot of new people miss. There's a 10% chance that 2 containers spawn here. In them, you can select an item, and then that item gets cloned, and you can get it again. This is a very interesting offer. The thing is, the lightning that the Crown of Zeus summons doesn't really synergize. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it activates synergies. So it's not that good of an item overall. So I would just take the 25% damage here. And we are going to get 1 red and 1 green upgrade. And by the way, regarding blue upgrades, it's mostly fine to get like 1 or 2, but you really don't need more than that if you're, yeah, if you just want to get a win, as blue upgrades are not really that useful, because most builds are just using gadgets as a support or to proc elemental synergies, because you can get mods for the gadget that make them freeze the enemy, for example, which is probably also one of the best gadget mods that you can get. But yes, I'm going to talk about that if we get them, as I can't cover like everything today. Arrow variants can be pretty dangerous, and this is why you want to keep your time like regularly above 2 minutes, because if you get an arrow variant and have less than 2 minutes, then it can be pretty close. So, okay, very good. And we eject. And this is the first boss. And yes, the first boss is not that dangerous. Just make sure that you don't get surrounded by the enemies, as they are the bigger threat than the boss here, as the boss does like no damage to you. Something on the nail gun, if you're playing it, at a certain amount of nails that you have in your target, as you can see, and there's a cap reached, and then nails are going to proc the ult explosion, which is going to be a little bit more damage than just base, but at that point you can also just use the ult and get like all the damage. We get a life insurance here. Life insurance, in my opinion, not the best item, especially if you're going for the strategy that I use. So that I like to play safe. I like to get 20% damage reduction, or not play like very damage heavy builds. Yeah, but that is like one of the best items if you're playing a more damage heavy build. I'm going to go to the time room to buy time. And yeah, we can theoretically cash out here. As you can see, this is for 12 rolls. If we actually choose the cards, then we only get 6, which is would be a very heavy hit, and it would be a lot. We get a lot more value if we just cash out here. So if you're not really needing very specific cards, then it's mostly fine to cash out. Okay, nice, I can show it you here. Here we can clone an item, but only do that after you go to a shop. And we get very lucky here. This is a coupon card, so a coupon makes your next shop free. This means free elements, free upgrades, and from this you can really scale your card economy. In this case we're going to get red and green. Already have 2. And we don't really have a good item to copy here. Yeah, so this is like, this doesn't really matter that much. I don't know if you can copy this, but I would just copy this, as it gives me like 2 free elements. I don't know if the next 2 shops are free now. I hope so. Yeah, but as you can see, if I would have copied before I went through the shop, I wouldn't have gotten a good item to clone. I hope that this one works, because I've like never cloned it, but I guess we're gonna find out together. Yeah. Also, yeah, these bosses they are basically a joke. They have like no HP. So if you're deleting them, that is not a sign that you have really good damage. It's really not. Like, they are basically just a big enemy. So don't get overconfident. By the way, if you can take these soul shrines and you have over 2 minutes left on your clock, it's worth to take them. Nice, we actually get something that synergizes with ice here. And yes, basically, in your run, you're aiming for elemental synergies, but they are not needed to win a run. You just have to think about what are the options and what elements work well with my weapons. because lightning, for example, works very good with Bomba. Bomba is the rocket launcher basically, because it has the highest base damage, and because lightning scales with 20% of the hit you do, it's going to be a lot more effective on higher damage weapons, as some weapons that, or elements that, yeah, just stack with the amounts of hits you do. So just, yeah, use your brain and think about what your options are, weapon-wise, element-wise, and just play the game. And it also really helps experimenting with stuff. And so yes. Okay, we're basically done here. Yeah, these sunflower levels, they're very annoying, especially if you don't have any movement. But keep in mind that these things are, oh my god, that these things are affected by gravity, so you can suck them towards you with something like a magnet. We get an alien frenzy here. And also, what really can help clearing variants faster is to, yeah, just always, also, at least for the beginning, it's always good to have a weapon that has decent AoE. In my case, it's the lightning staff. Here we get a corruption. Something that you should also do is don't be scared of corruptions. They are really, like, actually, they're really not that bad. They are affected by the teddy bomb. The teddy bombs make them easier. They are really not that bad. Because the early game in the latest update got like really nerfed into the ground. It's not half as hard now to get through the early game. Oh, that's a very good item. And yeah, I'm just going to go to the time room as we are low on time. And because we did the corruption, we're going to get an item and our attacks are going to be reduced. Again, in this case, I'm going to for the I don't care all in, as it's just going to be a lot more value than manually choosing my cards. And also, I just want, we don't see a blue, so the chances of us getting blue are higher here. Okay, that's sad. But because the shop is like free anyways, it doesn't matter. So we can already get ice for our nail gun. This is, oh, this is for example is a gadget mod. Yeah, I actually I haven't seen that one, but it's not that great. Life Steal is one of the easiest way to heal, so just take that. And we are going to take our red and green. And yes, okay, so it used one voucher and the next shop is also going to be free. Okay. That's good to know. So as you can see, our nail gun now has, yeah, this icy glow. And the shots are also going to look different. And nail gun works really well with ice because, as I said, nail gun takes the ice takes the amounts of hits you do in an enemy and adds an increasing slowing effect and a damage bonus. So it's going to work really well with lightning. Also, something to note with the teddy bomb, you can shoot the teddy bomb in the air and try to hit flying enemies. Where did roaches go? Yeah, but the early game really isn't as hard anymore. I'm not going to take the watcher. For like before the 0.4 update, it was a lot harder. Also, it's going to help you a lot to learn these parkours, as they are always a free item, and free souls and free cards. This is a proc item that is relatively good for the nail gun, as the nail gun has a lot of shots and is going to proc it more often. We should get like some red, but because we're going to get it anyways, it doesn't matter that much. But it would be nice to get another blue, as if you spend the 10 cards on an element and you already have the element, you are going to get a 30% damage bonus for the element. I'm not 100% sure how it works on ice, but I don't think that it's like bad. It's always worth to get if you can, and as we're for this run probably not going to get as much blue upgrades, it also doesn't matter if we just don't get them. I'm probably going to get one later, as having the dash on a little bit lower of a cooldown. That's just very nice. And we are getting a ton of soul shrines this run, but we can't get that one. Yeah, this is a really ridiculous run. So that's not the best run for a guide, as this is more of a really insane run. Yeah, but a lot of Oddcore is just really thinking about how good does the item or the thing that I get help my build to deal more damage, to make me more... Does it give me a lot more survivability? Does it address the issue that I'm currently having? So do I need movement speed or like gadget cooldown to move around faster? Am I struggling with that? Am I struggling with survivability? So, okay, that is... I didn't see the Watcher, and we got captured by him. It's fine. Don't panic. Okay, we could give... This would be a corrupted item. This, for example, is an item I really wouldn't take. And also something to note, you don't have to take corrupted items if you get a gift. It's an option to take it. You don't need to take it. And after it, you're always going to go to the time room. So you're not going to die like instantly. We are still at 1 tax. And I'm still going to take this, as this is just a lot more value. As you can see, we are already up to like 40 cards. And so we're not going to struggle with cards anytime soon. And this is the maintenance guy. And something that is like a trick that you... That is like... Sometimes you're going to struggle to spot him, but it's actually relatively easy to know where he's coming from, because he's going to be at the opposite side that the light is going to be on. So if you see the light, then you basically know where he is. Yep, now we're starting to deal a lot of damage. As you can see, I'm using the tag that I just spray a lot of nades into him, and then they're going to start doing the ult. Okay. Here we are going to get the nuclear effect for our nice fire sail, our gadget. That means that we can now proc the fire nuclear combo if we hit something with the staff and then dash through it. We're not going to use lightning. Ult cooldown is going to be very nice for the teddy bomb and the dash overall, so I'm going to take the ult cooldown. 10% damage is not that much, and you can get a lot better things. I'm going to take just red and green. That is like something, if you're struggling, then just take red and green, as it's going to be, in my opinion, probably the most effective way to choose your upgrades is just to always get red and green. Blue, like only if you either can't get a red or a green upgrade. And like, so for example, if you have not enough red cards to buy it, but you can buy a green upgrade, then just buy the blue. I mean, it doesn't hurt you. It's, in the end, it's just more cards lying around in your inventory if you don't do it. So it would be worth than just getting the upgrade. This is sometimes the case in the early game if you get really unlucky on the card choosing, or yeah, there are some cases if you ban an element, then you can't like get a damage upgrade or a green upgrade if you go like for a fire or nuclear. Okay, very good. And we hit an arrow variant. This could have been bad if we had low time, but it's 3 minutes, it's fine. What is wrong with the skulls? They seem really buggy if they are like at walls. I've like never noticed that they act so weird. Okay, this is more fire. It's like not that great, but I think it's fine. And because our tags got reduced, we can actually just go to the time room. It doesn't. We're just going to stay at 1 tags, so we can just cash out again for 24. That's going to be very nice. Yeah, we're not going to struggle with cards in this run anymore. Something to notice, if you cash out, then your cards are going to be more spread. So it's harder to get elements overall. So if you're like really close to an element, definitely don't cash out. Just cash out if your tags is like relatively... if you have like 1 or 2 tags, then it's like a lot very useful, as you're going to spend 1 less soul on average. But oh, there's the sunflower. But the thing is, if you have like 5 or 6 tags, then it really does not matter that you spend 1 less soul. It's then just going to be 1 less card that you're going to get, which is like not worth it then to cash out and basically not get like guaranteed greens and reds. Just something to note here. And we are going to increase the ice damage. And this is a weapon mod for lightning. This would be additional healing, but because we have lifesteal and this item already, it's just going to be very good. And the lightning rod creates a storm at the base of the strike, stuns enemies in place. This is even more AoE, so it really fits just the weapon in general. As you can see, this is just so much more AoE, so it's going to help us out a lot. Just get red and green. And yes. So the thing is, once you get your runs like really going, yeah, there's like not that much in your way. So if your run is currently looking really solid, you should definitely you should think about the big man fight as soon as you like start the game. That is like what I meant with 20% damage reduction, as the big man is just a ridiculous amount of damage. Like even if you have those higher damage reduction numbers, like 20% is, compared to other people, for example, that like I heard from on the Discord server, that's a lot. And that is like actually a lot. But the thing is, the big man is mostly a DPS race, so if you can just really kill him really fast, it's a lot better than just to fight him. But the thing is, if you're going to play it safe and get a lot of damage reduction like I do, then you're not going to have a fight that lasts like 5 seconds. You're probably going to have, if you have a good run item-wise and overall, it's going to probably last like maybe 30 seconds. And in that time, you just really shouldn't die, because then your run is obviously over. No, but just keep in mind, the big man is going to be a big amount of damage to you anyways. It doesn't really matter how much damage reduction you get. You can't get enough greens to make him like deal no damage. And also, to only get greens is not gonna win you the game. That's the thing. Because greens, even though they increase your max, if they give you damage reduction, and you might think that if you're tanky enough, then it's fine, then nothing matters. But the thing is just, if you have no damage, you're going to clear the variant slower. And if you clear the variant slower, you're going to need to go to the time room more often, which is going to really scale your tags. And that just results in you not being even able to buy green upgrades. So you can't just go in every shop and get 2 green upgrades, but it's also not realistic that you get like, if with high tags, it's not realistic to get 4 green cards, because you may even not be able to buy 4 cards, is the thing. We could cash out for 15. We could also get, let me quickly So this would cost 4, so we pay 3 basically. We would get 29. So we would get like 9 cards. 9 compared to 15, that is still like a lot more. Yeah, we currently have 28 yellow cards. That is something that just happens if you don't choose the cards manually. Obviously, that is like not the best. But in our case, it doesn't really matter anymore, and it's just going to be like, yeah, you know, I mean, I have enough cards for the rest of the run to buy upgrades. Maybe not like elements all the time, but that is like not the problem that we have here. Also, something that is really good, especially as a blue upgrade, is less ult cooldown, as ults are really strong in this game. And you can also really build into the ult. For example, on the pistol, if you're playing the pistol, which is like the starting weapon, then the ult is going to be the thing that gets you through the early game, that kills the early bosses, and to get early ult cooldown reduction is very nice. Just keep that in mind. We are going to get more blue here, as green, we have enough green for the rest of the game. I don't know, the next, is there going to be, okay, we are 28, so now there's going to be an odd mart, I think. There should be one. Yeah, this is something like I always forget, like I don't keep track of them at all. So, yes. Pull out the nail gun. Oh, there he is. As you can see, our damage is quite ridiculous. There was like 1 mag and was like no additional damage from the ice. So, yeah, currently, ice on nail gun is very strong. Yeah, so if you get like a run like this, which is a really good run, you get the nail gun, you get the ice, then the only thing you have to basically solve now, for you wondering what I did, I bought ice on the lightning staff, which is not bad. You can definitely run ice on lightning staff, but fire was just better in our case, and we also wasted 10 blue cards, as I'm going to buy the fire back anyways. Yeah. Just saying. 20 max life is not really worth it, but in this case we don't need damage, and we also don't need extra souls, so I'm just going to take max life. It also doesn't really matter. Get red and green. And yeah, just continue. Yeah, that is something. Like in my case here, it doesn't matter, but especially if you're not going to have this strong of a run, which I had, then I suggest that you spend your cards a little bit more careful than I did there. And we're going to have the TV cluster, which is one of the harder bosses, like definitely. But in our case, we're just going to apply the ice, and we're also relatively tanky. We have 3 minutes left, which is not optimal. Yeah, as you can see, because we got all the green upgrades, even the lasers are not going to do as much damage to us. And as you can see, the Negan is really rising in that damage. It's now at 50. Dude, how tanky does this pellet want to be? Yeah, but especially for only variant 50 runs, one of your best options damage-wise or like healing-wise is actually going to be that souls heal an additional 10 HP. It's not that great in Endless. In Endless you're going to rely on a lifesteal, but for like only variant 50 it's really good. Okay, for free, I mean, I don't complain. I don't complain about items. Something you also shouldn't do. Yeah, I'm going to go to the time room after this variant probably, just in case we get an error variant. So nothing tragic happens. And also, something that is really important is If you're feeling confident and you have the option to be greedy and like take a corruption, then do it. It's not going to hurt you mostly, because if you're confident, then you're mostly strong enough to deal with all the threats that there are. I'm actually going to get more green and red here. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Less ult cooldown is good, less ult cooldown is fine. Even less ult cooldown, the green can only take green and we're going to take red. I missed. Yeah, very, very, very good. Nope, this is not an Oddmart. Yeah, but I would say that ice on lightning scepter is also relatively good. But I would say that it's better on nail gun. Even though some of you might say that the additional damage bonus is going to be like nothing on the nail gun, which is definitely true. The nail gun is not going to profit as much from the rising damage bonus as other weapons. For example, lightning staff profits a little bit more from it. But the thing is just that the nail gun ult, because it has a really good base damage, it's going to profit from it. That is the thing that is like going to deal you damage, especially with that ice, as you're basically also just applying a lot more hits with. We get another cloner, that's good. I'm going to get fire back on my thingy, so yeah. Piercing dart for the nail gun here. Like, yeah, a lot of items in this game are really not that great. But some of them are also like quite broken, so. Okay, we're back, and the cloner. So if we look at our inventory, we could copy something like life insurance, but it just doesn't really help us. So what I'm probably going to copy here is the coin, actually, that gives us 10% chance of a chest appearing at the end of a variant, as this item is just going to, yeah, we have a 20% chance. That is every 5th variant. I mean, currently we are already like in the high 20s, I think. So it's not that big of an increase, but oh hi, I missed. We are in the 30s now, so we're like only have 17 variants to go. But still, like lucky coin is because we didn't really have something that is like stronger, so it's just fine to go for that. I think that was showing off the. Okay, there we go. I don't know if that comes from the item I just picked up or. Camera is really not great. Camera is not good healing, as the inspect animation just takes too long. That's not okay. Oh wait, true, that is something you can also do. You can just really pull the sunflowers in with like that kind of AoE. It's just going to help you a lot. Because you don't have to deal with the sunflowers just running away, as you can. This is also something that is very important. If you don't have movement and you encounter a sunflower room, that you really, and just so that it's really important to keep in mind that you can do that. Just what I want to say. Eject. I'm going to go to the time room after this variant. Also, something that is actually important now in the 30s and also in the 20s already is target prioritization. You always want to. Okay, so first of all, always focus the hands, because the hands are like the hands are basically going to nerf your entire AoE away. Your AoE is going to do nothing against enemies that are made immune by them. So it's just very important that you attack the targets that are the most threatening. We would spend 5, so we get 10. Yeah, if we just cash out, it doesn't really matter. In this case, it would have been better definitely to do it manually. I gambled and I lost. In that case, you should have just done it manually to guarantee that you get an ice upgrade for your nail gun. As you can see, I'm mainly using the lightning staff here as it's just the better AoE damage. Because it has fire, that is AoE damage, and just overall I got the weapon mod that makes the AoE even better. This is nuclear, this is going to proc with fire, cheese is going to... So maybe that item description turned you off, but enemies farting is going to cause a nuclear cloud that can proc things with your fire effects, for example, in my case. And that's just going to help you. I mean, I didn't really need it, but just to have even more options already, like I already have it with gadgets, I have it with my souls. And yeah, I mean, just having it is good overall. Okay, green and red. We're up to 15% damage reduction. Very good. Also, as I said, the hands are going to nerf all your AoE away, so you should focus on the hands like as soon as possible. On the later variants, there are like 2 to 3 spawning. The thing is, they can't save bosses, like they can't make bosses immune, which is which is going to help you. So I wouldn't say that you should only focus on bosses. You should kill like the big ads all the time. So maybe you know them, like the skulls, for example. I would kill them, but yeah, skulls are like not the threat that you should really look out for. Skulls are annoying, but these guys that throw the bayonet, they are very dangerous. They are a very heavy hitter. They are going to deal a lot of damage that is like nearly similar to the damage that big man can deal to you. So invest damage to kill them is very important, especially in, for example, the TV cluster fight. They can kill you run instantly by hitting you, because they are going to deal a heavy amount of damage and they're going to knock you up, which in the TV cluster fight is nearly a death sentence. So keep an eye out for those. They're going to do a lot of damage. They're dangerous. And then the second big enemy that's going to be a heavy hitter is this one. So this one is, I mean, you can dodge them like relatively easily, and they are not as dangerous, I would say, as the guys that throw the bayonet at you. But they are like still just really tanky enemies that don't have that much trouble hitting you, so you're not going to hurt yourself if you kill them. More ammo. We just did an arrow variant, so our attack is now at 3. Very nice. We could cash it for 14, which is fine in our case. And we are going to fight the boss here. The synergy doesn't do that much in our case. In this case, I'm just trying to hit him with the things I have. I'm really keeping just the debuff of ice on him and using its effect. And I'm missing. I'm really whiffing. As you can see, there was a decent amount of damage. Yeah, but wouldn't say the hive mind is that dangerous. Just, yeah, try to deal as much damage. Just keep moving in a circle. The thing is, the arena is relatively small, but the good thing is that the hive mind is not going to spawn very dangerous ads, so you basically only have to like keep an eye out for the hive mind itself, as it is a lot more dangerous than this is probably one of the most useless items there is. Also, yeah, like they did actually, that is something that also changed in the update to give this thing a new animation. And we are at the Oddcore again. Oh, we have another clone. That is like crazy RNG, dude. Yeah. We don't need additional fire damage. We literally just don't need. We have already like 25 ammo on this. That is definitely enough. So I'm just going to take the proc chain thing here. Proc chain is what I mean, like things that can proc. The things that proc can't proc each other. So yeah, that's just something that I do. I call them proc chain items. I don't know why. Anyways, what are we copying here? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a question. We just cleared variant 40, so Lucky Coin is probably not going to do that much for us. So I'm thinking of just copying. And this is something I could have also done, is actually buy a yellow upgrade here to get maybe like a chance at an item that works a little bit better. I think I'm going to copy the lifesteal here, as that is just extra healing in combat. Yeah, so don't think that you at the clone that you have to copy like your highest rarity item. Think about what you're missing. In my case, this is like healing, or like I'm not really missing healing that much, but overall a little bit of max life is what I'm missing. But an apple is not worth copying. So I'm just going to copy lifesteal instead. As healing is also just a different form of extra survivability. It's not completely better than max life. I would always, you should get the middle of a mix between max life and healing, as only max life is not going to benefit you as much as if you have good healing and good max life. Now we get another item, and we just take one more variant and then we go to the time room. Something that is also maybe important to know for you is that maybe you haven't realized it, but after every variant, your max soul count is going to increase. So the thing that is going to be affected by that is the amount of souls you can spend in the time room. That means that the time room basically gets better the more max souls you have, because you can effectively buy more cards, and it's also a way to scale against your attacks. We can actually buy a fire damage up here. And next time we go to the time room, we should get as much red cards as possible, as after we buy this 30% damage for fire, we're going to be very low on red cards. And this may also be the window to get like 2 green cards. So actually I'm thinking of getting 2 green cards now, as green cards wouldn't hurt us at all. I just scratched my nose, that is why I stopped playing for a second. Yep, as you saw, that guy dealt a lot of damage to me. They're very dangerous. You should always should know where they are. We get a blink here. The blink is not that big of a threat. Just run away from him. And don't let him hit you. He just did it, but he can spawn behind you, which is going to be bad, but you could deal with it. I hope so, at least. I just try to nail gun ult him. Yeah, I'm currently using the lightning staff, even though it is like a boss, and Negan would effectively deal more DPS. The thing in this case is just that the blink is really hard to hit. So I'm actually just taking our, the lightning scepter here to clear it, as I'm going to hit it more consistently with that. As you can see, we're relatively easily dealing with this, and as you saw, it doesn't do that much damage. You just have to be aware that you can't heal during these, and that you can get hit very frequently, which is going to be very bad. But the thing is, if you clear corruption, it's going to clear off 50% of your tags, which is ridiculous. But it's the most effective on very high tags, and because we don't have that high tags, it isn't going to be that. Okay, here we get the hidden variant that I haven't finished. Moin. Here we got it. Okay, yes, there was probably like a cut at some point. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to cut it. By the way, these grab guys, they can be a very big threat, especially if you're very squishy. Yeah, but the thing is just, you can basically just keep your distance and they're not that much of a threat to you, so... Because they had, like before the update, because that is an enemy that got, like, reworked, before the hands had, like, infinite range and could basically grab you from anywhere. That was very annoying. Should have probably taken this soul shrine, no cloner, that's fine. Additional red cards, just take another piercing dart, I mean, no. Why not? I actually don't know if it proc there or not, I don't know. And we can just get a red upgrade for our lightning staff. Don't buy a burn on the negative, please don't. And now we are at the 20% damage mark. We are going to have one more odd mark, which we are going to try to get. Yeah, the last few upgrades. I'm probably going to get a blue upgrade actually, so that we have less dash cooldown and that we can throw out the teddy bomb to yeah, make the enemies not target us as much as we also... Yeah, that guys can also... They can hit very hard. Keep that in mind. Because they're charged, it's actually not that hard to dodge. I just fucked it up. So I just tried to dash like into him. Let's actually go to the time room. And fill up our time. Cash out for 12. And yes, this is like probably a longer video because I like did all the explaining in the start for the cassettes. Yeah, I hope I at this point like covered most of the points that I wanted to cover. Yeah, maybe like also mentality. Just because the thing is, like, as I started playing this game, that was on patch 0.2, I think. On that patch, the game was a lot more difficult. So, especially like as a new player, I struggled a lot. Also because Oddcore, the mechanics are a little bit more unusual than what you're like used to in your normal roguelikes. So it's a lot harder to get into, especially if you don't know how to maximize the card gain. Yeah, and just solving problems the game leaves you with, the high amount of damage that the big man does to you. Yeah, and just overall, it's really hard to get into. Currently, the game got a lot easier, so now... so the thing is, what I personally thought of the update is the update kinda missed what it wanted to do. Like, it was supposed to be very hard to play hard mode, but until variant 50 it should get like easier. The thing that the update like missed, so until variant 50 it's definitely it has gotten a lot easier. Something that I maybe would address is that the big man does a little bit too much damage, in my opinion. Like, you can get bursted in 4 hits with 20% damage reduction. That is a little bit ridiculous, in my opinion. But the thing is, you can also cheese the big man. So I would probably personally try to remove the ability to cheese it, but make the damage he does a little bit less. I'm also going to show you what I mean by cheesing. Yeah, but the thing is, like... Oh, wait, that's actually a good item for burn. Yes, that's actually really nice. The thing is just that hard mode was supposed to be like really hard. It was supposed to be very rare to get a run that makes it to variant 100, which is just not true. We still have people running on variant over 2000, which is just, you know, like, it doesn't even make sense to go for like a high record runs, because it's, in my opinion at least, until variant like 200, there are things, or there are actually like interesting things, and you can die. But after that, you can basically go infinite, and that is just, at that point, it's just not that fun anymore. Yeah, by the way, I'm just gonna take this. True, I also wanted to get one of these. It's fine. The problem that like I mainly still have with hard mode is that hard mode should be a lot harder. I think you should really have to optimize your early game. You should have to play the most broken combinations that you can think of to make it to like variant 150, in my opinion. Like, I think it should be, you should have to take all the risk. You should have, you really should need to take, yeah, just the risk that, oh, I should go to the time room probably. Yeah, you should take all the risk that you are offered. You should have to take basically Watcher every time to really get those runs going. We just cash out, like, it doesn't matter. But something that also is like really not bad for bigger man is to just keep in mind that I hope he doesn't die here. Okay, so the thing is, if you get like hit a bunch in the big man fight, you can, or like if the enemies get too swarmy, then what you can do is you get your souls and then you just go to the time room. And if you're really low on HP, you can just sit there and wait. You can just sit there and wait. You can relax. I would suggest that you heal like to like 3/4 of your HP to just be safe and just not die. You can basically do that as often as you want at the moment, and that's like the way to get to win against big man like every time. And we didn't really struggle in this fight at all. Yeah, the Negan really just went crazy with the eyes. So this is a really easy build that you can do. I also thought about like a video in which I don't pick up any items and only play with upgrades, but I think that would be quite boring, and I think that would actually be like really hard to do. Yeah, so optimally speaking, we would get only the upgrades I currently have +1. So the damage is going to be miserable. And it's also very unlikely that we even get those amounts. And also the yellow upgrade is going to be useless. So we would definitely use big hands to get even more upgrades, but yeah, that is future. I'm probably not good enough at this game to do that, but I hope you got some, yeah, I hope you learned something in this video. My run was like very easy, that is for sure. But on my channel there are like also runs that aren't as crazy as this one probably, and are also not as boring as just Negan Ice. But yeah, I also didn't use my gadget like at all, but if you're really struggling, then gadget usage is very important. Yeah, but just some things that are also, yeah, you don't have to take all these tips and apply them to your game, but the things that also I said in the start, finding your playstyle, finding the amounts or like the upgrades you like, finding the builds you like, and something that also really helps is is understanding how the elements work, how most of the items work, and something that is also like pretty nice to have is, or like to know, is how the stats work. So up in the first red stat is basically the amount of damage the nailgun currently does. And basically the damage you start on that damage, all your percent damage is going to be calculated, but the percent damage gets basically added together and then put on the base damage. It's not multiplicative like in Risk of Rain. But what can multiply that damage again is crit, for example. So crit is going to then deal like 200 damage. We had 40% crit in this run. And ice would give you guaranteed crits. The thing is, ice is calculated on top of crit. So theoretically, you could get like 2 extra damage bonuses, but I'm not 100% sure if it's still like that, because that could have gotten changed in the update, but I know that in the 0.3 update it was like that. And yes. Under that, there's attack speed. We didn't have like a crazy amount of attack speed. It wasn't needed for like a nail gun. And lightning staff, as I said, already crit chance, we're at like 40%. Then under that is crit damage, then life steal. We get like 0.5%. I think currently life steal is based on not, I don't know if it's not, definitely not based on the amount of damage you do, I think, but I'm not 100% sure how lifesteal works. I think it was based on, so if you hit an enemy there, you heal for like 0.5 HP, I think. But okay, just keep in mind, lifesteal is good. You should take it if you get it. Yeah, it mostly does not solve your entire healing. Like the best healing item, in my opinion, for only variant 50 run is this goated item over here. And yes. Now I'm going to just quickly run you through the stats on the right side. I hope that the element stats are self-explanatory. That's just like the percent damage that they deal additionally. On the top there's the ammo, so we have 25 ammo. Under that there are jumps, then movement speed. Then there is, okay, I'm not 100% sure about these, but I think it's like gadget cooldown reduction, gadget damage, and something. I'm just really, I don't know. They are also not that important. Like gadget cooldown, you like, it's very unlikely that you go for a gadget related build. Because at the moment there are not that many gadgets that could deal the main damage in a run. There's the achievement for clearing variant 10, or like clearing until variant 10 with only gadgets. But that is just a whole other number than an entire run. That is also a challenge I could try, but it's I think that would be relatively difficult. So yes, that would also be like probably like a 2-hour long run. Yeah, I don't know. Then max life, HP regen per second, and then your damage reduction, and then your time cap. Anyways, I should really stop talking. I'm going to jump because I don't want to play in hard mode. If you want to also like have some suggestions how to get a run that carries you through the first 50 variants on hard mode, then I can also do that if you want. Yeah, but I hope I covered some of your like questioning points. A weapon that is also a really good bomber. At least this is how it's called. This is like, I mostly call it like rocket launcher, bomber, rocket launcher, I don't know. It has good AoE, it has very high base damage, and there's a tech you can basically do is, this is called bomber swapping. If you're using a weapon and then you're pressing your weapon swap key, I'm going to really quickly reload this, but basically you hold down your shoot button, then you swap to the bomber, and you're going to have it shoot out at the first frame that the weapon is completely swapped to, which can just increase the amount of attack speed you have on the bomber. Like, this is not the normal attack speed. The normal attack speed is this. So if you do that tag, then the bomber's just really strong. Like, as you can see, it's shooting a lot faster, and I'm not getting the lightning damage. Yeah, but if you're using like a different weapon, then that becomes very broken. And this is also possible with shotgun and pistol, I think. Yep. Yeah. Just some cool things to know. And yes, that's mostly it for today. Yeah, if you're really struggling with it, just keep playing. You're going to get better over time. If you just want to get the win to get the achievement, then I would suggest that you use nail gun or SMG with ice. That is boring. But it's really good, and it's going to get you your win. And I would suggest that you aim to get at least 20% damage reduction in a run. You can get less, but then you are going to have to be... Yeah, then you're going to take even more damage from Big Man. Like, I didn't really take that much damage because my fight was turboglass by, like, damage. Yeah, but having that 20% damage reduction, it doesn't hurt your damage that much, and it's just good to have it. These guidelines are also applicable to most of the other weapons. I wouldn't say there are like any on which you really have to keep an eye out. Only maybe Engineer. Engineer. Something to really keep in mind. This is not your main weapon if you use it. You're going to place your turret and you're going to swap to the other weapon. Because the main thing, like the main attack does no damage. It just causes, if you aim at it with a target for a long time, then the turrets are going to shoot out a rocket which deals damage. But if you have a secondary weapon, it's mostly just better to use that, as it has better DPS than one rocket. It's probably worth it if you have all 3 turrets out, but otherwise it's not worth it. Frog is also a really good support weapon because it can use the ult, it can shoot the ult out, but it's also quite usable as a main weapon because you walk faster on this. So it's like definitely one of the best support weapons, but damage-wise it's also not completely terrible. And something that is maybe good to know for the yo-yo. Yo-yo is a melee weapon. That means that it gets buffed by things that do items that do increase melee damage. And yes, that is basically it. By the way, on Sniper, there are always, can quickly show you that, but there are weak spots on enemies. Currently, the Big Man does not have a weak spot, so the Sniper isn't as effective against him, but the Sniper is really good to take out the big ads that he spawns. So, yeah, Sniper does need a secondary weapon that can carry the Big Man fight. So you shouldn't use it on you for like a main. You shouldn't build your build around getting the guaranteed crits from the Sniper over the weak points. Yeah, but the Sniper is going to be also like a tool if you're searching for the last enemy. So just keep that in mind. And also don't forget that you can use the sniper's main attack to boost you and also boost you very far backwards. So you can just pull it out and knock enemies away and get yourself away from them. And it's also, because it has actually a relatively good AoE, it's very good to apply something like nuclear or burn. Yes. So no, that's really it. I'm not going to tell you any more stuff, and that's it. I hope you are going to take some of these tips seriously, but I really hope that you're also going to find your own playstyle, and I hope you're going to have fun, keep playing this game, keep improving at it, and yeah, goodbye.